What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Saturday, May 18th. We had a break-even day here on Friday. We had the Yankees minus 1.5, Cleveland minus 120 came through for us as well, but Milwaukee couldn't get the job done. They lost in a one-run game. We also lost the under pick in the Cardinals Red Sox game. That was a crazy high-scoring game. Did not see that coming. We had the Dodgers minus 1.5, though. That one worked out great. They closed that one out very strong, and that was our biggest bet of the day, so we'll definitely take that one. Put it in the books there. Pretty much a break-even day going 3-3, but that'll happen. Not a big deal. Heading into the weekend here, hoping we can keep things headed in a slightly more positive direction. Do me a big favor and hit that like button, guys. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StompTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We got the Chicago White Sox taking on the New York Yankees. The White Sox come into this game fresh off of a Game 1 loss there to the Yankees. They lost Game 1 of this series 4-2, so probably doesn't feel great, and not a lot of things have felt great for this team this season. They're only 14-31 overall, and handing the ball in this game to Brad Keller, who's 0-1 to start the season with a 2.84 ERA. He's going to be making a start here. He's been out of the bullpen some, and he started some games. His last time out, he looked very good against the Cleveland Guardians. And out of the bullpen, he went 3 1/3 innings, gave up no hits, no runs, walked 1, and struck out 3. So that'll definitely work. But in his start back on the 3rd against the Cardinals, he didn't look so great. He gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs over 4 2/3 innings. And that's against a not very solid hitting team in the Cardinals, so we definitely have some concerns with him out there on the mound, and lots of concerns here with the White Sox offense, guys. They scored 2 runs in Game 1 of this series. They scored 2, 4, and 3 runs in their series against the Washington Nationals, and yeah, just not a lot of positives to report here, guys. This is the worst offense in the majors. No sugarcoating it. This is a bad offensive team. They're dead last in all the major statistical categories. You don't see any individual player really trying to hold up the numbers here, so not a lot of good things to see there, and they're going to need to score some runs here going up against the Yankees, who are now on a 5-game winning streak. They won Game 1 of the series 4-2. They're 31-15 overall, and handing the ball in this game to Luis Gil, who's 4-1 to start the season with a 2.51 ERA. He's been throwing the ball really well lately. His last time out against the Rays, he went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, no runs. He walked 2 and struck out 3 in that one. The start before that, he didn't have very good control. He walked 4 against the Houston Astros, but he only gave up a single run over 6 innings of work and only a single hit. The guy has just looked very good against some very good offensive teams, and man, the White Sox do not count as a good offensive team at all, and the Yankees bats have been looking very good also. We see as a team, they're 4th in the majors in runs scored, 4th in on-base percentage. We see basically everybody hitting the ball really well right now. We saw Judge and Stanton both hit a home run in Game 1 of this series. This team just humming right along offensively now. Kind of got off to a slow start for sure, but right now absolutely pounding the ball and looking very good. Everything's looking up for the Yankees right now, and the odds makers definitely agree on that one. We've got the Yankees minus 275. The White Sox are plus 240 in this game, and looking at the run line in this one, which I think is definitely worth taking a look at, you take the Yankees minus 1.5. The best you can find them at is minus 125, and guys, I think that might have to be what we go with, because I'm not very interested in the over-under in this game. I think there's a chance the Yankees could score over 8 runs all on their own, so go ahead and give me the Yankees minus 1.5. I'm not in love with that price tag, so you'll have to wait and see if we end up taking them down in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates going on the road to take on the Chicago Cubs. Pittsburgh got the win in games 1 and 2 of this series. They got the win in Game 2 in convincing fashion, winning 9-3 with a great start out there by Skeens. He looked fantastic, struck out the first 7 runners he faced, so definitely looked really good in that one. I thought he might have some trouble. Not really he would have some trouble, but I thought Pittsburgh would struggle to score, and they did not struggle to score. I mean, putting up 9 runs is very solid there. They're handing the ball in this one to Bailey Falter, hoping he can keep things rolling here. He's 2-2 on the season with a 4.15 ERA, and his last time out, it was against the Cubs, and he looked pretty good, guys. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, only 2 earned runs. He did give up a home run in that game, and he walked 2 and only struck out 1, but in general, he's been looking decent lately. I mean, he did have a bad start against the Oakland A's back on the 29th, so we're not exactly going to throw this guy a parade, but he's looking okay out there, and things are starting to look up a little bit here for the Pirates offense over their last 2 games, I guess. I mean, they've scored 5 and 9 runs to start this series, but this hasn't been a good offense over the course of the season, obviously. They got off to that hot start, then cooled off drastically, and they're going to have to do a little bit more here for me to be hyped about this offense. I mean, they're 25th in on-base percentage, 27th in batting average, and down to 23rd in runs scored. Like, this is not a great offensive team, and they're going to need to score some runs here against the Cubs, who, man, are due for a little bit of a bounce back. They've lost 2 in a row. They've actually lost 4 of their last 5 overall to fall to 25 and 21 on the season. They're hitting the ball in this game, though, to Shota Imanaga, who's been nearly unhittable, it's felt like this season. He's 5-0 with a 0.96 ERA, and man, the guy has been lights out. His last time out, he had kind of not the best start for him. He went 5 innings, gave up 7 hits and no runs against the Atlanta Braves. It was a game the Cubs lost 2-0, so that probably doesn't feel great, but he pitched absolutely fantastic in that game, and he's been great over the course of the season. Obviously, I mean, look at his numbers. The dude has been absolutely killing it. The problem right now has kind of been the Cubs offense. I mean, they have not been hitting the ball well right now. They've had some injuries and stuff like that, but really no excuse to be only scoring like, a few runs against a team like the Pirates too. I mean, obviously Skeens was looking very good out there, but they couldn't really get to their bullpen either, and yeah, just not too stoked about how the Cubs offense is looking right now. And look at the numbers for this game. We see the odds makers don't care about that at all. They've got the Cubs at -184, the Pirates at +175, and we've got an over-under in this game of 8. We see both of these teams showing at least, well, slight trends for the Pirates to the under and big trends to the under for the Cubs. The Cubs are 24, 20, and 2 to the under, and we also see that Chicago is 13 and 8 when playing at home this season, so that's definitely something to take into account. Guys, I tend to lean a little bit towards the under in this game, although we have seen a lot of scoring so far in this series. Maybe that's a sign that the bats are due to quiet down a little bit, but I also like the Cubs -184. I know it's a steep price, but with Imanaga out there on the mound, he's been so good this season. I don't think we're going to see this little surge here from the Pirates offense continue any longer. So I guess give me the Cubs, and I guess give me the under, but I don't think this has ended up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. We see the Rays come into this game. They've now won 3 in a row. They won game 1 of the series 4-3, so a very close, low-scoring game. We saw Tyler Alexander take a perfect game into the 8th inning, so that's pretty wild stuff. The Rays are going to be hitting the ball in this one to Zach Eflin, who's off to a 3-4 start with a 3.91 ERA. And his last time out against the Red Sox, he didn't look terrible, guys. He went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs. So, I mean, not an amazing start to give up 3 earned runs in only 5 innings, but they'll definitely take it. They won that game 5-3, so nothing wrong with that. And over his last couple starts, he's looked pretty reasonable. I mean, that was against the White Sox, so not great, but he looked good in a start against the Milwaukee Brewers, which is pretty impressive. They're a hard-hitting team, and yeah, in general, Eflin looking pretty decent, and the Rays offense has come alive a little bit here. I mean, over their last 4 games, they've scored 4, 4, 7, and 4 runs, so that's been better than they have been looking. They're 18th in runs scored this season, 13th in batting average. They're up to 11th in on-base percentage, which is noticeable, and this team just seems like they're swinging the bats a little bit better here. I mean, nothing insane, like this isn't an offensive juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination, but stuff's been looking a little bit better here, and they're hoping that can continue going up against the Blue Jays, who have now lost 2 in a row. They're down to 19 and 24 on the season, so that probably doesn't make them too happy, and they're handing the ball to Kevin Guzman in this one. He's 2-3 on the season with a 4.95 ERA, and guys, he's in need of a bounce back. His last time out against the Twins, he got absolutely shelled. He gave up 10 hits in 3 innings, 6 earned runs, a home run. He did strike out 6, but he walked 2, and man, he just didn't look good. And kind of a surprising thing to see him look so bad, because his 4 starts before that, including a start against the LA Dodgers, he looked very good in all of them. So maybe we can expect something of a bounce back from him in this one. I mean, the guy's been pretty much good all season long, just a very weird outing there against the Twins. And the problem for the Blue Jays, their offense, man, it just has not looked good. They're down to 29th in the majors in runs scored, guys. They're near league average in on-base percentage, so I don't think they're going to be like the worst offensive team in the MLB all season long, but right now things are looking very dark. We don't see anybody off to a very good start. Over their last few games, they've scored a 3-2, 3-1 run. Like, that's just not going to work, guys. Not looking good at all. Obviously didn't see them looking very good last time, and yeah, just not a good offensive team. Not a good offensive team. No way around that. And looking at the numbers for this one, it's a little bit surprising here to see the Blue Jays at -126. I mean, Eflin's been pretty good. I guess that's a lot of, it's banking on Guzman to have a bounce back day. We see the over-under in this one's at 7.5, so that's a little bit unfortunate. If we had like an 8.5 under, I would definitely be interested in it, but 7.5 seems a little bit tough. Taking the Blue Jays -126 also seems a little bit tough. Like, they haven't been looking very good lately, and we've seen the Tampa Bay Rays be surging right now. So I guess go ahead and we'll play the hot team in this one. Give me the Rays +115, but this isn't also very unlikely to end up as a pinned comment play. Moving right along here, guys, we got the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Baltimore Orioles. We see Seattle took the 9-2 loss in Game 1 of this series, so probably not feeling too great about that. They're down to 24-21 on the season, but that still has them in first place in the AL West. But with Houston starting to play a little bit better, that probably makes them a bit nervous about how that's going to go. They're handing the ball in this game to Luis Castillo. He's off to a 4-5 start with a 3.31 ERA, and his last time out, he looked good, but not amazing. I mean, he gave up 7 hits over 6 innings, but only 2 earned runs. He gave up 2 home runs in that game, though. I mean, it struck out 8, but 2 home runs doesn't look amazing. We have seen Seattle be pretty successful in his games, though. They've won in 4 out of his last 5 starts, so that's something to definitely take into consideration. And yeah, I mean, he's looked very, very good this season, no doubt about it. His record doesn't really reflect that too much, but when you've got the Mariners offense behind you, that can be kind of a tough look. And yeah, guys, we're not expecting too much out of the Mariners offense on any given night. I mean, they've scored 2, 4, and 2 runs over their last 3 games. Like, nobody's particularly hitting the ball well for them right now, and yeah, just not a lot of positives. They're down to 23rd in the majors in runs scored, 19th in slugging percentage, 24th with an on-base percentage of only .301. Like, just not getting the job done here. We don't see anybody off to a particularly good start for them, so not a lot of positives here to say about their offense. And they're going up against a very good offensive team right now. The Orioles are now 28-14 on the season after getting the 9-2 win in Game 1 of this series. We saw Gunnar Henderson smash a home run. Camden Yards went wild. The Orioles at home has been definitely a fun thing to look at. We actually see they are undecided on who they're going to be starting in this game, but in general, I don't think we have to be too worried about that. I mean, this team is 5th in the majors in earned run average as like a unit. They're 4th in the majors in batting average against, with a batting average against of only .217. Like, this has been a pretty good pitching group, and if they have to, like, you know, cobble together a whole game through the bullpen, like, I think they'll find a way to do that. And yeah, their offense might make how good or bad their pitching is kind of immaterial, guys, because this has been one of the best offensive teams in the majors. They're 1st in the majors overall in slugging percentage, 10th in runs scored. Their on-base percentage is a little bit worrisome. It's down at .304, so that's not great, but team batting average of 12. They're coming off a game where they scored 9 runs. Seems like they're on the right track here. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the odds makers kind of agree with us. We've got Baltimore at -110, the Mariners at -106. It's a little bit of a, I mean, it looks like it should be a relatively close game. They have a good amount of faith here in Castillo. I mean, he's been very good this season, no doubt about it. It's unfortunate he doesn't have any history against the Orioles this season for us to look at, so we're not too interested in that. There's a little bit too many unknowns in this game with Baltimore not having a starting pitcher for us to look at right now. So in general, I'll probably be staying away from this game. I think the under could have a little bit of merit if we see Castillo have a good start, but I mean, I don't know. With the Orioles not putting anybody out there, it's not like we're scared of the Seattle offense, but 7.5 is a very small number. So really, if you're forcing me to bet this game, I guess go ahead and give me the Orioles -110 since they're 16-9 at home this season and playing so well right now. But without more information, I don't know whether or not this could end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we've got the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Miami Marlins. We saw the Mets get shut out in Game 1 of this series and lose 8-0. They're down to 20-24 on the season, so can't feel too good about that. They're handing the ball in this one to Luis Severino, who's 2-2 with a 3.00 ERA. He's been one of their better pitchers this year, and he's coming off a solid outing against the Atlanta Braves, where he went 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 4 hits. He did give up a home run in that game, and his control has been a bit of a question mark here over his last 3. He's walked 2, 6, and 3 hitters over his last 3 starts. Like, that's not great. That's a bit of a concerning trend. I mean, it's not getting out of hand. I mean, that 6-walk performance against the Rays was definitely out of hand, but I don't know. We'll see how he does going forward. The guy in general this season, though, has been pretty good. The Mets offense, on the other hand, though, has not been good, guys. I mean, this team is down to 18th in on-base percentage and 19th in runs scored. Like, not getting the job done. They're 20th in the majors in batting average. This is starting to look like a solidly well below average offensive team, looking like they might settle in the bottom third of the majors, and that's going to be a pretty big disappointment for a squad that came into the season, I guess, kind of how everybody does, with a little bit of excitement, but things are just not looking good for them right now at all. And getting shut out by the Marlins probably didn't feel great, but I think the Marlins are probably pretty stoked about it because that is the 3rd straight shutout this team has pitched. I got some crap down in the comments for saying that this team's bullpen and pitching in general was holding things down, and they for sure did in this one, guys, just looking insane. We saw Luzardo and 3 relievers combined for their 3rd consecutive shutout. They got the 8-0 win. They're only 14-32 on the season, so not a lot of positives to look at for this team overall, but definitely feel good right now. And they're handing the ball in this game to Braxton Garrett, who hopes he can keep things rolling here. He did not look good at all in his first start of the season, but that was against the Philadelphia Phillies, and obviously he's making a late start to his season, so a lot of things off kilter here, but against the Phillies, he did give up 5 earned runs over 5 1/3 innings, so not great, but he struck out 8 in that game, so the guy's got good stuff. He just needs to put it together and be consistent out there on the mound, and maybe he can have something of a bounce back. The Marlins bats looked very, very good against the Mets here in game 1, I mean, putting up 8 runs, but in general, this has not been a good offensive team, no secret there. They're close to the bottom of the majors in most of the hitting categories, and we don't expect that to really change drastically, but it had to feel good to them to put up 8 runs. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Mets at -130, the Marlins at +115, and we once again see an over-under of 7.5. So looking at the numbers for these teams specifically, we see the Mets are 10-10 on the road, so not great. Miami is 7-17 at home, so obviously not great. This is another tough game to predict, guys. I mean, the Marlins eventually have to get off of this insane pitching run they're going on. I mean, they haven't allowed a run over their last 3 starts. That's crazy stuff. And I mean, the Mets are a team you could definitely get after once again out there on the mound. So we'll have to see what happens. I do think Severino is a pretty solid starter, so I don't expect there to be much scoring in this game. We do see that the Mets are a 50-50 over-under team, and Miami's a big over team, so not a lot of value to be found there. If you're forcing me to bet this game, I guess go ahead and give me the Mets -130 now that they've got a good starter out there on the mound, and obviously Braxton Garrett looked very gettable, but this is once again, guys, not looking like a pinned comment play. Moving right along, guys, we've got the Washington Nationals going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Nationals come into this game now on a 3-game losing streak. They lost their last 2 to the White Sox, and then lost game 1 of this series 4-2. They're handing the ball in this game to Mackenzie Gore, who's 2-4 on the season with a 3.38 ERA, and he hasn't been looking bad, guys. Over his last several starts, he's been very, very reasonable. He had one very odd start, though, in there against the Blue Jays where he didn't look so hot. I mean, he gave up 3 runs, but only 2 of them were earned, so we'll cut him a little bit of slack, but he bounced back well with a very good start against the Red Sox his last time out, so we can definitely look at him as a at least semi-plus arm out there on the mound, but man, going up against the Phillies is no laughing matter, guys. Nobody is really excited to see them. He did have a good start against them back on the 7th of last month, so I guess we'll give him a little bit of credit there, but that's not exactly the same Phillies team that it doesn't feel like, at least, that he's going to be facing right now. And the Nationals offense really hasn't been supporting their starting pitching very well recently at all. They got shut out in 2 games in a row by the White Sox and then scored only 2 in game 1 against the Phillies. They were going against Wheeler, so we'll cut them some slack there as well, but things not looking great right now for their offense, and Phillies offense just keeps humming on along. They put up only four runs in game 1 of this series, so not a huge offensive outburst for them, but they're 32-14 on the season, absolutely cruising right now, and hitting the ball in this one to Christopher Sanchez, who's 2-3 on the season with a 3.43 ERA, and his last time out against the Mets didn't really look so hot, guys. He gave up 7 hits over 5 2/3, 3 earned runs in that start, and yeah, not a very impressive outing by a guy who's been a little bit inconsistent, but in general, the season has been pretty good. I mean, it hasn't looked bad. No major complaints about him from me, for sure. Back on the 7th of last month, we saw him have a mediocre outing here against the Washington Nationals. That was at Washington, so he'll be pitching at home in this one, which is a bit different, but I don't have a crazy amount of confidence in him in this matchup necessarily, but I do love the Phillies offense in basically every spot right now. I mean, we have seen Mackenzie Gore be good at times, and he was decent against the Phillies much earlier in the season, but right now this offense is just humming along. They're 2nd in the majors in runs scored, 4th in batting average, 3rd in on-base percentage. They're 5th in slugging percentage. We see Bryce Harper hitting the crap out of the ball. Like, everybody's looking good right now. We saw Brandon Marsh drive in a run to seal the win there for the Phillies, and just in general, this offense is looking very, very good. The odds makers aren't that confident in the Phillies in this game, guys. They have them at -178. We see the Nationals at +150. We got an over-under of 8 in this game. Guys, I'm just going to take the easy way out here. Give me the Phillies -178. I think this is it's possible this ends up in the pin comment. Definitely check back, but with the Phillies going 17-8 at home this season, that's very promising, and this team just humming right along, and I have no faith in the Nationals right now, and Mackenzie Gore has been inconsistent, so we'll have to see if this makes it into the pin comment. I don't think it's a crazy high value play, but taking the Phillies at home never feels bad. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Minnesota Twins going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. We see the Twins come into this game fresh off a 4th straight loss. They lost game 1 of this series 3-2, so feels pretty bad for the Twins, I would assume, but that one felt pretty good for us. We'll definitely take it, put it on the board. The Twins are handing the ball in this game to Bailey Ober, who's off to a 4-1 start with a 3.77 ERA, and he was very good in his last time out, guys. He went 6 1/3 innings, gave only a single hit, and struck out 10 against the Toronto Blue Jays. Obviously, the Blue Jays, not the best hitting team right now by any stretch of the imagination, but anytime you strike out 10 and give up only a single hit in an outing, that's obviously a great outing. And he's looked very, very good this season just in general. Over his last 5 starts, very good. One weird kind of outing against the White Sox, but I'm sure he wasn't really on his A game against the White Sox. They're not a team you have to try super hard against. So in general, we like him. We are concerned with what we're seeing from the Twins bats here lately, guys. Over their last 4 games, they've scored 2, 0, 0, and 1 runs. That is not going to work. Things are getting pretty dark there all of a sudden after that like nice winning stretch they had, but they were playing some pretty bad teams, and now that the opposition is looking a little better, things are not working as well. They're down to 20th in on-base percentage, 13th in runs scored, like just not a huge plus offensive team with the way they're swinging the bats right now, and they're taking on a Guardians team that's starting to figure things out at the plate a little bit, even without Kwan out there, which is obviously a big miss for them, but they're playing well. They've won 4 out of the last 5 overall. They're hitting the ball in this game to Logan Allen, who's 4-2 on the season, but his ERA is up to 5.56. Although his last time out, it was definitely a big bounce back spot for him after getting shelled by the Tigers. He came out and looked very good against the White Sox. He did give up 6 hits, but no runs, struck out 3 and walked 1 over 6 innings of work in a game that his team won 7-0. So he'll definitely take that. He's had his struggles this season, but seems like he's rounding into form. Although to say somebody's rounding into form after they're coming off a good start against the White Sox feels like a little bit of a reach to me. Cleveland in general, though, has looked very good this season. They're 28-17, and their offense has been finding a way here. I mean, they've scored 3, 0, 7, 7, and 7 runs over their last 5, so definitely swinging some decent bats. We do see Kwan taking batting practice, but I think he's still quite a ways from coming back. This team is 8th in runs scored, 13th in on-base percentage, not a terrible offensive team at all. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, it looks a little bit how we would expect, I think. I mean, we got Cleveland at -104 at home. That makes sense. We got the Twins -112 on the road. That also makes sense to me with Ober out there on the mound. And we've got an over-under in this game of 7.5. Guys, I wish this was 8. We could maybe take the under, but I'm not going to be messing with this under at 7.5. I think I like Cleveland at home in this game a decent amount. I mean, Ober's a tough nut to crack, but Logan Allen's been looking better, and man, those Minnesota bats are going to have to wake up before I am excited about taking them in really any spot. So give me the Guardians. -104 is a small lean, but I don't know if I have enough faith in this to go betting against Bailey Ober. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Houston Astros. These two teams are playing right now. We saw the 8th inning just in. We've got the Brewers down 4-5 going into the 9th inning, so that's not great. That is not what we were looking for. We're hoping the Brewers could get a win there, but looking at this one, we see Milwaukee has been playing relatively well recently, but not insane necessarily. And they're handing the ball in this one to Bryce Wilson, who's coming into this game. He still hasn't registered a result, which is kind of crazy. I mean, he's going to be making his 5th start. His last time out, he went 4 innings, gave up 2 earned runs to the Cardinals. Not exactly a super plus start. He walked 5 in that outing, and that hasn't looked great. Over his last 4 outings, all of which have been starts, we saw him walk 3, 2, 3, and 5. Like, that's not going to work, guys. That's way too many walks. You can't be giving guys free passes, and he's been having not very much success really going out there despite facing pretty bad offensive teams. So, yeah, not feeling great about his prospects in this game. And, I mean, the Brewers' offense has been great this season in general, but how great do we feel about him right now? I would say semi-middle of the road. I mean, this is obviously a good offense, guys. Don't get me wrong. They are 3rd in runs scored, 2nd in on-base percentage, and 3rd in batting average, but just something about how they're looking at the plate right now doesn't fill me with a ton of optimism. I think they have scored 4 runs in this game, but their pitching situation isn't fantastic, and they're going to need to play well here against an Astros team that's been kind of killing it lately. I mean, if they can hold on in this current game, they'll have won 6 in a row, and they're getting to hand the ball to Justin Verlander in this game, which has to feel great. He's coming off a 2-hit, 7-inning performance against the Tigers, where he walked 2 and struck out 8 and gave up no runs. Like, that is a very good outing, a bounce back from getting shelled by the Yankees. So definitely take that into consideration. But the team he's about to face is no New York Yankees, in my opinion. I mean, just not what I'm feeling right now from the Brewers. And looking at the Houston offense, they've been humming right along. I mean, they've scored 5 runs in their current game. They scored 8, 3, 2, 9, 9. Like, this is a team that's scoring some runs right now. They're hitting the ball well. All these numbers are starting to like coalesce into where you would think they would be. They're 12th in runs scored, 1st in batting average, 7th in slugging percentage, and 5th in on-base percentage. Like, their batting average and on-base percentage numbers have been fantastic all season long. So they're seeing their run scored catch up makes a lot of sense. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Brewers at plus 136, the Astros at minus 150, and we've got an over-under in this game of 8.5. We do see Milwaukee is an over team, but we see Houston as a big under team, and we don't have a ton of faith in the Brewers offense in this matchup going against Verlander. Houston is up to 11-12 at home. That's a number they've been improving drastically. We do see the Brewers are a decent road team, but I don't have a lot of faith in their pitching in this game, so we are going to be on the Houston Astros minus 150. I think this is a very good spot for them, and betting on Verlander out there never feels bad. Next up, guys, we've got the Oakland A's going on the road here to take on the Kansas City Royals. The A's come into this game. They lost game one of this series 6-2, and they have now lost 6 in a row, so the wheels are kind of coming off that nice little stretch they were having there, which is a little bit disappointing. It's fun to see teams do well, especially these like young upstart teams, but yeah, it just was not to be for this team. It wasn't going to continue for very long, and yeah, just looking at their numbers, it's not too shocking. They're handing the ball in this one to Ross Stripling, who's 1-7 on the season with a 4.98 ERA. He had a kind of decent start his last time out against Houston. He gave up 3 runs over 5 innings on 4 hits, but yeah, not insane and not a great bounce back from getting absolutely destroyed for 11 runs over 2 2/3 innings against the Texas Rangers. So not looking too amazing. The guy's had some decent spot starts this season overall, but yeah, can't feel amazing about how his stuff is looking right now. And the A's offense has absolutely fallen off a cliff, guys. During this losing streak, they scored 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 4. Like, that's not going to get the job done, guys. This team isn't scoring enough runs. They're just not talented enough. This offense is not good. 21st in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in on-base percentage. They're starting to tend to back down towards where they were, like, competing with the White Sox for the worst offense in the majors. So don't feel too good about that. And a team we can feel good about right now is the Kansas City Royals. They're 27-19 on the season, and they're hitting the ball in this game to Seth Lugo, who's off to a 6-1 start with a 1.66 ERA. So the guy's looking absolutely great out there. He went 8 innings, gave up only a single earned run on 5 hits against the Angels, and he struck out 12 in that game. Like, absolutely dealing out there. The start before that, he looked very serviceable against the Milwaukee Brewers. He went 6 2/3 innings, gave up only 2 earned runs in that one against one of the better offenses in the majors. So definitely take that. And yeah, the Kansas City offense, while they're not amazing, they're finding a way to get the job done, guys. They're league average in batting average, batting .239 as a team. They're 11th in the majors in runs scored, 23rd in on-base percentage. So that's definitely a concern. But they're coming off a game where they scored 6 runs. Over their last few, they haven't necessarily looked amazing at the plate, but with a great starter out there, you definitely have to feel very good about their chances, and so do the odds makers. They've got the Royals at minus 174 at home, and yeah, guys, I have to say that definitely makes sense to me, but something we're going to look at more than the Royals minus 174 or the A's plus 158 is the over-under. We see an over-under in this game of 8.5, and the Royals have been a great under team all season long. They're 27-16-2 to the under, and do we really think the Royals are going to go off for a ton of runs? I mean, they just scored 6 runs their last time out, so seems unlikely to me. Guys, we're going to be on the under in this game. Taking the Royals as an under is never a bad play this season, as you can tell from their trends, and we're going to go ahead and ride with that one. I don't think we'll see a ton of offense from the Royals in this one, and I definitely don't think we'll see a ton of offense from the A's. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we're looking at the Los Angeles Angels going on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. The Angels come into this game. They're currently playing right now in the top of the ninth with the Angels up 9-3, so I think we can pretty safely say the Angels are going to come away with this win unless something insane happens. We aren't too high on the Angels right now in general, though, guys. They're looking to be 17-28 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Patrick Sandoval, who's 2-6 overall with a 5 ERA. His last time out, he got shelled by the Kansas City Royals. I mean, maybe not exactly shelled, but the guy gave up 11 hits in 6 innings. The fact that he was somehow able to escape with only 4 earned runs is great, I guess, but he only had 3 strikeouts in the game. Like, didn't look good in that one, but in general, the season has looked pretty good. I mean, before that, he shut out the Pirates. It looked very good. Before that, he had a good outing against the Phillies. 5 innings, only 2 earned runs against the Phillies while striking out 10 is very respectable, but before that, he got knocked around by the Twins, so I don't know what to actually make of this guy. I mean, it's a little bit tough to tell what you're going to get from him on a nightly basis. Is he going to be bad? Is he going to be good? I don't know. You kind of flip a coin and see, and yeah, the Angels offense isn't much different than that. I mean, this is a league average type of offense. They're exactly league average in on-base percentage, very close to league average in terms of runs scored, and nobody's really hitting the cover off the ball lately, although they've looked better as of late. I mean, in this game, they're going to have scored at least 9. The game before that, against the Cardinals, they scored 7, 6, and 5 runs, so some of those were in losses, though, so I don't know what to make of this offense, really. I don't think they're going to be great, don't get me wrong, and yeah, guys, it's hard to figure out what this Angels team is going to do on a night-to-night basis, and kind of the same thing can go for the Rangers here. I mean, they snapped that losing streak, but then they by winning 4-0 against Cleveland, but now they're right back looking like they're going to get blown out in this game. So not super high on them. They're handing the ball in this one to Jose Urena, who is yet to register a result. He's made starts in his last 2 appearances, but he was in the bullpen a little bit earlier. His 2 starts have looked respectable, but they were against the Oakland A's and the Colorado Rockies, so not exactly a murderer's row of teams. Against the A's, he went 5 innings, gave up 1 earned run. Against the Rockies, he went 6 2/3 and gave up 2 earned runs. So I think we can definitely look at him as pitching well right now, but I mean, he's going up against the Angels, who aren't a great offensive team, so there's something to look at there also. And the Rangers' offense, though, has been so bad lately. I mean, they've scored 4 runs, and I guess they've scored 3 runs in this current game, but before that, just not looking too hot out there, guys. They're down to 6th in the majors in runs scored after being very high on that list, 8th in batting average, 9th in on-base percentage. Like, this offense just doesn't feel good to me. I mean, they just had a terrible series against Colorado Rockies, and then a not much better series against the Guardians. Like, obviously the Guardians are a better team, but like still, I don't know. Don't feel great about this offense. Nobody's really hitting the cover off the ball for them. I mean, we've seen decent things from this offense at different times this season, but just not too high on them right now. But looking at the numbers, we see the odds makers don't care about that too much, guys. They've got the Rangers at -135, the Angels at +120. I'm going to lean slightly towards the Rangers at home. I mean, what we've seen from their starter looks pretty good, and they're 11-11 at home. The Angels are 10-12 on the road, looking to be 11-12, and we see Texas in kind of a bounce-back spot, so I think they're in a decent shape to win this game. The over-under doesn't interest me too much, so go ahead and give me the Rangers in this game, but it's a pretty small lean. Moving right along here, guys, we've got the Boston Red Sox going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. We see Boston is down 5-9 going into the bottom of the 8th, so things aren't looking great for them right now. They're very likely to lose this game, and that's going to move them down to 22-23 on the season, and it'll be their 3rd straight loss, so not thinking things are feeling too great in Beantown right now. They're handing the ball in this game to Cutter Crawford, who's 2-2 with a 2.24 ERA, but his last time out didn't look too hot against the Tampa Bay Rays, but his start before that was good against the Braves, so the guy's been very good this season in general. Like, don't get me wrong, not a lot of negatives to find for him. I mean, the dude has been very good. It just doesn't get a lot of run support. We've seen his team only go 2-3 over his last 5 starts, but the win, and one of those wins was against the Giants, the other one was against the Pirates. Like, he just hasn't had very many chances to rack up wins when you're not getting any run support. So the problem right now has been the Red Sox offense, although they have scored 5 runs in this game, 5 in the game before, and 3 in the game before that. So it hasn't been non-existent, guys. I mean, they're 18th in the majors in runs scored, 12th in on-base percentage, 8th in slugging percentage. Like, this isn't the worst hitting team out there by any stretch of the imagination, but things just aren't coming together for them right now, and they're going up against a team who seems like they're maybe figuring some stuff out here in the Cardinals. If they finish this game off, they'll have won 4 out of their last 5 overall and be up to 19-25 on the season, which obviously isn't where they wanted to be, but they're handing the ball in this game to Miles Michaelis, who is 3-5 with a 6.19 ERA, so he's been a big part of their problems. But his last time out, he did look good against the Brewers. Getting the Cardinals a win against the Brewers is pretty impressive. He went 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs. He did walk 3 and only struck out 3. Like, where has this guy's strikeout stuff been? Like, he was a monster years ago, and like, he hasn't looked as good now. And man, maybe he's figuring stuff out. Maybe he's turning things around here, coming off of a good start. But I have a hard time having faith in him, and I have a very hard time having faith in the Cardinals offense, even though they've seen so much better lately. I mean, over their last, that'll make 5 games now, they've scored 4, 10, 7, 2, and looking like it's going to be at least 9 runs. So the offense has been hitting the ball well. There have been some shakeups, been some things moved around, so maybe we can feel better about them. I mean, we've seen Arenado come alive here a little bit, and yeah, just a lot of the alterations to this lineup have been helping. Although, over the course of the season, this team's only 28th in the majors in runs scored, 19th in on-base percentage, 28th in slugging percentage, so we're not freaking out about this offense by any stretch. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, they're kind of what you would expect. We've got the Red Sox -120 with a good starter out there on the mound. We get the Cardinals at +106 with a very suspect starter out there. Boston's been a good road team at 12-9. The Cardinals have been a bad home team at 6-11. We got an over/under of 8 in this game, with both teams showing very significant trends to the under, but that's hard to trust right now given how far they went over in the over/under in game 1 of this series. So guys, this is another very tough game. I mean, hard to know which way to go with this one. I tend to lean slightly towards Boston, but like I said, they haven't looked great, and maybe we see Michaelis back on the way up, so I think we might just have to go with the trends here and take the under, although I'm not super stoked about it. I just think the under is the best play. Both these offenses are due to cool off as they're not that amazing, and we obviously have a lot of faith here in Cutter Crawford, and there's some reason to have faith in Michaelis to like continue to get back on track, so give me the under, I guess, in this one, but not a lot of faith in this pick. Next up, guys, we're looking at the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. We saw the Padres get the 3-1 win against Atlanta in Game 1 of this series. Had to feel good getting off the schneid there after losing 3 in a row to the Colorado Rockies and having all kinds of stuff talked about them. So that probably didn't feel great. They're probably very excited also to be handing the ball in this game to Yu Darvish, who is 3-1 on the season with a 2.43 ERA. Guys, after coming off of the IL there, he's looked very, very good. He hasn't given up a run over his last 3 starts. He went 7 innings, gave up 2 hits and no runs while striking out 7 and walking 1 against the LA Dodgers his last time out. Like, that is an elite performance. The guy is looking great out there, and there's some signs of life coming from the Padres offense. I mean, not a ton, don't get me wrong, but they did score 3 runs in Game 1 of this series, and on paper, this should be a very, very good offensive team. I mean, they're 7th in the majors in runs scored despite their recent struggles, 7th in batting average, 8th in on-base percentage. Like, on paper, this should be a fantastic offense, and I think they're going to find their way back to being that good of an offense. It's just taken them some time. I think they're going to reawaken here, and they're hoping they can do that against the Atlanta Braves, who have now lost 2 in a row. They're down to 26-15 on the season, though, so they're probably not too disappointed in that. They're handing the ball in this game to Bryce Elder, who's 1-1 on the year with a 4.79 ERA, and he comes into this game fresh off of a good start against the Mets. He's only going to be making his 5th start of the season. Against the Mets, his last time out, he gave up 7 hits, so not amazing, but 2 earned runs over 5 1/3 innings, and he struck out 6. He got those control issues under control. I mean, he didn't walk anyone in that game after walking 4 in each of his last 2 starts, so they'll definitely take that, but their offense is going to need to get back on track. They've only scored 1 run in each of their last 2 games, so that's not great. This offense has been trending down since a crazy hot start. They're 14th in the majors in runs scored now, 6th in on-base percentage, 5th in batting average, but man, those numbers, that's not what it's looked like lately, guys. This is a struggling offense for sure, and looking at the numbers for this game, I'm a little bit confused by them, which is always a good feeling. We see the Padres plus 110, the Braves minus 122, and we've got an over-under of 8.5. I know that Atlanta is a league best 15-5 at home, but San Diego's 11-8 on the road, and they're putting Yu Darvish out there. Guys, this has a good chance to be my biggest bet of the day. We're going to take the Padres plus 110 in this one for sure. I think their offense is getting back on track, and with Yu Darvish out there, they might not even need to. I think they're going to roll in this game. I don't like Bryce Elder's stuff that much, and I think the Padres are going to take advantage. Last but not least, guys, we're looking at the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Tigers come into this game, they are up 11-0 in the bottom of the 5th, so probably feeling pretty good about salting that win away. They're handing the ball in this one to Jack Flaherty, who's off to an 0-3 start, but he's sporting a 3.88 ERA coming off of a pretty respectable start against the Houston Astros. He did give up 3 earned runs, but he struck out 7. Gave up 7 hits over 6 2/3, so not an insane start, but respectable against a resurgent Houston team here, I think. And he's had 3 very respectable starts in a row. I mean, ever since dominating his old team, the Cardinals, and striking out 14, he's been looking very, very good. So I think we can look at him as a plus starter in this game. And the Tigers' offense, while it hasn't been great, has obviously just had a breakout performance. They've scored 11 runs now in the bottom of the 5th inning. Like, that is a very, very nice offensive performance. No way around that. In general, this season, their offense hasn't looked amazing. Obviously, I mean, their on-base percentage as a team is below 300. They're 25th in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, not a great offensive team, but they're finding a way to put up some runs in this game, and maybe they can carry a little bit of momentum over, but obviously they didn't have a good time scoring against the Marlins, giving up or scoring 0 runs over the last 2 games of that series, so not a great offensive by any stretch of the imagination. A team that has been pretty good offensively this year has been the Diamondbacks, but obviously not putting up a lot of offense so far in their current game. They're handing the ball in this one to Zach Gallen, who's 5-2 to start the season with a 2.86 ERA. His last time out against the Baltimore Orioles, a very good hitting team. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 4 hits. Not a bad outing at all. Start before that against the Reds, he looked very, very good. And just in general, this guy has been having a very, very good season. The Diamondbacks offense hasn't been looking super hot lately, but over the course of the year, they're 5th in the majors in runs scored, 11th in batting average, 7th in on-base percentage. Like, this is a very, very solid offensive team, and it makes sense when you look at the numbers, guys. We see the Diamondbacks at minus 144, the Tigers plus 130. I was actually hoping we'd see an over-under of 8 or 8.5 in this game, but unfortunately they're sticking us with that over-under of 7.5, so not super pumped about that. if you're forcing me to bet this game, guys, I'll take the Diamondbacks minus 144. I think Zach Gallen is in a pretty good spot. I think we'll see the Tigers offense take a little bit of a nosedive. I have some questions here about the Diamondbacks offense going up against Flaherty, though, so we'll have to see how that goes. I've got a good amount of faith here in the Diamondbacks, don't get me wrong. We'll see if this ends up as a pin comment play. It seems kind of unlikely. You could actually take a look here at the under, as I think both starters are in pretty decent positions, but 7.5 just isn't a good enough number for me. So force me to bet this game. Give me the Diamondbacks minus 144. I don't think it's the worst spot in the world. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out StumpTheSpread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.